Hello everyone. This is the 29th part of the story, Avatar in DC Universe. Chapter 87, The Hunt Final Part. Aden's Point of View. Zombies. A staple in most fantasy fiction worlds. A reality in this very real and tangible world I was standing on. 300 meters was nothing to these creatures that were bearing down on us with the speed of Usain Bolt and the force of a bulldozer. I gave us 10 seconds at the most. Masali snarled and jumped at me in an animalistic rage. Blackened vines rose up from the ground to spear through me. I pulled on the heat inside me and exuded the flames from my skin, taking great care not to burn my clothes. The air near me started burning a pale blue. The black vines were reduced to ash a meter away from my body, leaving behind a nauseating stench. Masali, or whatever the thing inside him was, growled in rage and fear. My hand stretched out to grab him by the neck, then I slammed him onto the ground with considerable strength. He instantly lost consciousness. I could feel the judgmental eyes of my former team, glaring at me. When I reached into my trench coat pocket, I felt Aqualad hold back Kid flash through my air sense. I snorted, withdrawing a bottle with holy water, blessed by the priest back in LA. It seems like Kid forgot about his beating, I mused. Should I remind him? Yeah. I think I should. Soon. I opened the bottle of holy water and sprinkled some on Masali's face. His body started thrashing about. His mouth opened and flying beetles escaped it, trying to fly to the mouth of the cave. A flame appeared in my palm. I swiped my hand towards the sky with a grunt. The bugs were fried by the fire and fell to the ground, smoking. The loud roar of anger and pain following the action made the zombies running towards us stop momentarily. Good to see my flames can hurt it. What the fuck was that? Kid Flash wondered loudly. I found it super easy, barely an inconvenience to ignore him. On the other hand, the zombies/ghouls renewed their mad rush towards us. This time in an even bigger frenzy, pulling closer and closer to my position. The only thing that slowed them down, being the boulders and the rocky terrain of the hillside. Already, many of the creatures had fallen and gotten taken out of the fight by the violent stampede, leaving us with 200 or so. Damn. That is still a freakishly huge number. Aden. We need to work together. Aqualad shouted at me. They had backed away slowly towards the edge of the trees. What? Aqualad, you can't be serious. This is the same guy. Shut up, kid. Now's not the time. Superboy growled out. He then turned towards me. You can't take all of them on by yourself and you know it. He told me. I spared a look at the Kryptonian clone and snorted. Watch me. Saying that, I stepped over Masali's unconscious body and walked out of the thicket, closer to the edge of the foot of the hill. I settled into a fire-bending stance fluidly. Fire-bending is about breath control, I reminded myself. Aden. Fall back, you'll die. Aqualad's words made me want to vomit. Where was this concern when they were calling me out back at the cave? I ignored them, using the anger to stoke the flame resting above my groin. He has a death wish, Kid Flash said while running back. My eyes hardened. Maybe I do. But what I do know is that a firebender never gives in. My fire would keep burning so long as my spirit did. And spirit was something I had a lot of. I breathed in and felt the way the air filled my lungs and then imagined it interacting with the hot flames in my navel. Felt the way the air coaxed the flames out. My own body movements, helping to plot a course for the fire to dance. To move according to what I needed. I stepped forward, leaning my upper body slightly to the front. My hands suddenly spread out to the sides. I bent my legs, bringing the arms to my hips. I felt the fire get compressed inside my chest. A ferocious mass of swirling energy ready to destroy. Fire was life, but there cannot be life without death, therefore fire could be used to deathify anything as well. Ah, deathify. Cool word. I might keep on using it. Maybe. I kept a tight hold on the fire and then spun. My hands both shot off from my hips in a quick motion. Large voluminous flames shot out of my fists. Unyielding and roaring like a tiger. Boom! I timed the explosive beam-like destruction wave of super-hot flames with my exhalation. The first wave of monsters, the middle portion up until near the back, were fried by the massive yellow funnel of fire. Easily 100 feet long and covering a large surface area. The heat was oppressive. The light coming off of the attack lit up the night sky. I kept it up for one more split second, before my hands seized up in a burning sensation. Smoke covered the surroundings for a few more minutes, obscuring the view. That attack had been no joke. I winced while lowering my hands. My face made a frown at the red cracks covering my knuckles. I was actually injured. Not debilitating or anything like that, but damn. I thought firebenders couldn't be hurt by their own fire. Then again, I wasn't a regular firebender. My elemental energy reserves were basically bottomless. The problem, as I had seen, was my own body. There was a certain limit as to how much I could actually channel. He's grown stronger. Much stronger. I heard Aqualad comment and rose up from my position. The wind obeyed my command and banished all the smoke and dust away from the surroundings. The scene that met us made me widen my eyes too. A huge groove fanning out from the foot of the hill to the cave at the top had appeared. Red magma from the melted rock had pooled inside the groove and was rapidly cooling. Of the 200 zombies, only stragglers remained. Probably 30 or 40 zombies. My attack alone had taken out over 150 of them. Hell yeah. I muttered while smiling. A loud roar rang out at that particular time, leaving my ears ringing and my heart pumping. The fight was far from over. Looks like the boss is ready to reveal himself. The zombies on the outskirts of my attack stopped shambling about. A silence dominated the battlefield, only broken by the silent steps coming out of the cave. I looked on in anticipation. This is where my mission ends. At 17 hours. Not bad. Finally the big bad revealed himself, or rather itself. A huge lion, easily the size of an African elephant, appeared out of the mouth of the cave. That's one huge-ass cat. I call bullshit. I've seen lions on Nat Geo and they don't get as big as that. I didn't even pay Kid Flash any attention. I just dealt with zombies of all things. A huge lion is where he draws the line. Fucking stupid. The lion was glorious and intimidating. We made eye contact through all that distance and I saw the derision in its eyes. This lion was an apex predator and knew it. That means, it wasn't afraid of my fire. Then again, demons come from hell. Hell is hot, obviously. To them it might feel like a cool shower. But my fire still afforded me an advantage over them in comparison to regular fire. For instance, I could burn their true essence. Their true forms, when exposed to my flames along with them being on earth, would leave the demons turned to crisp. Case in point, the flying beetles that had been possessing Masali. This brought about many questions. How was Nemeth doing this? He was a gluttonous demon. His whole shtick was eat, eat and eat. Yet from what we'd seen he was apparently playing necromancer and beast tamer. Something was up, I tells ya. Something stank and it wasn't the sulfur. I bent down and removed my blades from my inner pocket, placing them on a rock. My hand reached inside again and this time, I came out with the bottle of holy water. Fire bending would probably do little to that lion's shiny coat. But holy water? I whistled. This thing was kryptonite to them. I sprinkled the water on the blades and wiped them down, hoping the effect I was trying to apply was a success and that I had 2 holy daggers in my possession. I twirled them in the air and pointed one towards the lion. I'm coming for ya. The lion held my gaze and I got the impression that the fucker saw me more of a hindrance than a threat. It roared again and the zombies sprang up, running towards us once more. The lion turned imperiously and moved back into the cave, its tail swishing in the air. I looked at Aqualad and his team. I'll take on the big bad himself. The lion controlling the rest of the walking dead. You handle the stragglers and make sure you get those boys back to the village. And Aqualad? You better hope we don't meet again. I coldly explained. I saw well-hidden fear in Wally's eyes and smirked inwards. That just made my day. This is far from over, Aden. I will beat you. Superboy informed me before I could leave. And just to prove a point, the fucker floated up with red flashing in his eyes. I widened my eyes a little. That explained why he was registering as strong in my senses. He now had access to the rest of Superman's powers. I turned away. Show off, and he couldn't even get rid of the horde of zombies that were coming at us earlier. Chapter 88, The Mastermind Part 1. General Point of View. Wait. Aqualad was a little too late, and before any of them could say anything, Aden blasted off. Two twin flames pushing him to the mouth of the cave at high speed. Neptune's beard. Aqualad cursed, something he never did. Superboy and Kid Flash shared a look but wisely kept silent. For all of 2 seconds before Kid Flash reminded them of the zombies coming at them. So, any exorcists around? Either that or someone get us Rick Grimes. The speedster said. Aqualad sucked in a deep breath and refocused on the mission. They would deal with Aden later. First, they had lives to save. He reached out into their shared telepathic link. Miss Martian, I need you to land the bio ship. We need to evacuate these people. You can then use the directions they give you to find a safe place for them. Meanwhile, Kid Flash, Superboy and I will take down as many of these creatures as we can. Lastly, Robin, your job is to go after Aden and the big scary cat that would not look out of place in a Narnia setting, observe while hidden and if possible take them both down, effectively rendering the rest of the zombies useless as they seem to be controlled by the aforementioned Narnia big scary cat? Boy Wonder said all of that in one breath. Good thing, telepathic communication was much more flexible. Aqualad sighed. I was thinking, observe and provide tactical support to Aden where you can. We might not like it, but working together is the smart move. Superboy narrowed his eyes from his levitating position. For now. He added quietly. Only audible to himself. We will try to finish up quickly and come to your aid. The objective is to not allow any of these creatures to breach the edge of the jungle. Less chance of us missing one. Aqualad finished relaying his orders. Not a problem, fearless leader, since they seem to be pretty focused on us. Kid Flash stated while lowering the goggles strapped to his forehead to cover his eyes. A click on the side of the optic device switched it to night vision. I'll give them something to focus on, all right. Arg! Superboy shouted in anger and shot at an elephant that was stomping its way towards them. Aqualad looked on in suspicion. Yeah, Aqualad, I wanted to ask, Kid Flash called out to him in an unusually serious tone. Since when can Superboy fly? Aqualad shook his head. He has not exhibited these abilities before. Perhaps they finally kicked in. He's a Kryptonian after all. They get more powerful the longer they are exposed to the sun. He responded, his water bearers coming out of their holsters behind his back. A pair of hyenas were rushing towards him. Perhaps, or maybe, more secrets. Kid Flash responded grimly and sped off. General point of view, elsewhere. It's starting. Lucifer said in childish excitement. Maze spared him a look and rolled her eyes. This is either going to turn out really well or really bad for Aden. My bet is on the latter. I don't think he's ready. She complained. Oh, come on now, love. Have some faith in the boy. I do have faith. But going up against a Lord of Hell is no joke. You should have sent me to deal with him instead. She responded. And where would the fun in that be? This way we get to see an evolution. The beauty of humanity, Maze Keen, lies in that stupid spark of courage that spurs their actions. He told her with an upturn of the corner of his lips. The Lilim shook her head. That's not outstanding or unique at all. Most aliens have that as well. Humanity is simply favored more by him. She disagreed. Lucifer nodded, seeing her point but also slightly disappointed that she was entirely missing the bigger picture. Maze dear, I have always taught you to see past the obvious. Ask yourself, why he favors them. When you have the answer, you'll understand how it's possible for individuals like John Constantine to exist. Lucifer admonished her. Fuck that asshole. Maze stated upon hearing Constantine's name. The devil chuckled at the hatred she possessed for Hell's vacuum cleaner. He's in another universe entirely, Maze. I see your dislike for him is still at an all-time high. He commented. In response, the beautiful demoness simply poured herself a drink and downed it. Well, he's the reason I'm glad humans are not immortal or possess long lifespans. I have a grudge with that bastard. She went silent before placing down the glass in her hand on the table. Wait. Maze addressed Lucifer, as realization dawned on her face. That's why you're doing this. Why you want the boy to get involved in the supernatural. This world lacks the experts. Well, apart from the Lord of Order and the stage magician, Zatara, but he is not a true demonologist or a hunter. In a way you're shaping him up to take on that role. She paused in surprise and confusion. For the first time in a while, Maze couldn't get a read on what Lucifer was planning. The proud smile on his face told her that he was happy she'd finally connected the dots, but if anything, Maze felt even more lost. One question remained. Let's cut the crap. Why? It's not like you to be so interested in one human. You said you wanted to take a vacation, but everything you've done so far has been contrary to that. She didn't flinch from his gaze. Lucifer hummed and ran a finger along the length of the mouth of the glass he was holding. That spark, I want to see it again. That which I desired but was denied. I want to see it bloom to its full potential. I asked you a question earlier. Why he favors them. He looked at Maze seriously. You'll have your answer soon, love. This will be a true test of mettle for Aden. We will see his real self in the adversity that follows. Especially considering the fact that he won't be able to rely on his other half. Lucifer said while grinning sinisterly. Maze narrowed her eyes. What did you do? She asked him. The devil simply shrugged with an innocent look on his face. Me? I have no hand in that, love. The innocent look was replaced with a manic smile that stretched out on his handsome face. It wasn't a lie, but more like withholding information. The only thing I can say is, strap in, this is going to be one heck of a ride. The clip displaying what was happening on the battlefield showed the team fighting to take down the zombies, then the feed changed to show a man, dressed in an adventurer's attire, walk up towards the village guarding a hub of the green. A shield of vines and green energy appeared between them. With a swipe of his hand, the vines were destroyed by blackened flames. Aden's point of view. I shot off straight towards the mouth of the cave, heedless of the creatures on the sides of my self-made cavern. The rocks were cooling down more and more, leaving behind blackened soil. I spared a look at the zombies and ignored them. Those were cannon fodder that Aqualad and the rest could handle. I was going after the final boss. Within seconds, I arrived at the entrance and spread out my air sense. It wouldn't do to be ambushed by a 5-ton lion because I was too careless. I twirled the daggers in my hands and lit them up. Flames appeared along the edges of both weapons, lighting up my surroundings. I didn't need the light to see because my vision was strong enough, so this was more to draw out the huge creature. I would sense it before it could attack and then retaliate when Nemeth least expected it. My feet crunched on bones, like dried twigs. My nose scrunched up in disgust at the rotten stench present in the cave. It was to the point where I started cursing my enhanced sense of smell. There was nothing I could do other than quickly killing Nemeth and leaving this place. I walked in while taking great measures to read anything registering in my senses. 20 meters in, I felt a movement come from my back. A miniature figure that shot a zip line to the ceiling of the cave and stuck to the sides of the walls. Robin. Typical. A few more seconds of carefully traversing the smelly and dark cave, I started hearing the drip of water. Looking at the walls of the cave, I could tell they were also starting to get slightly wet. The tunnel then enlarged the deeper I walked in until I finally found myself staring at an open space inside the cave structure, the size of a soccer stadium. In the far back was an underground river. The water looked murky and disgusting even from the huge distance away. And lastly, laying down on the barren and rocky ground was my target. The final boss himself. The big cat looked at home. It lazily observed me. A menacing look on its face. A mark showing a pentagram was branded into its forehead, sharp claws gleamed from its paws, and a low growl informed me of what it thought of me. An annoying pest. Let's change that, shall we? I jumped off the cave opening and landed before Nemeth. The instant I did, an overbearing might shook my bones and I took a knee from the aura it was exuding. The lion rose up and started walking towards me. Its steps were heavy and frightening. I struggled to move, aware of the death sentence walking towards me. Each second was agonizing. I looked up at it with a scared look on my face, and the glee in its own eyes was magnified. It loved this. This feeling of domination and oppression. Drool escaped its mouth and the smell of sulfur made me feel as if I was going to pass out. A meter away from the huge behemoth, I felt the whistling sound of birdarangs and watched as the lion jumped back in a swift move despite its huge size. The birdarangs it had dodged dug themselves on the floor of the cave and exploded, showering me with pieces of stones that bounced off my air shield. I sighed and got up without a problem, shrugging off the intimidating aura of the lion with ease. I looked over my shoulder in anger. Why did you interfere, Robin? Boy Wonder landed behind me and looked smug. I think you meant thanks. I chuckled without humor. Thanks? Thanks for what? For ruining my plan? I was pretending to be weak so that I wouldn't have to waste any more time dispatching this thing. I have a feeling that someone else is behind this whole scheme, but now, because of you, I'll have to fight the damn lion, giving the mastermind more time to carry out what he's planning. Robin gave me an impassive look. A stubborn glare worthy of his mentor. Deep in his eyes, however, I could tell he was embarrassed. A loud roar brought my attention back to my opponent. I sighed, brandishing my flaming weapons. Okay, now that the easy way is out, let's do this the fun way. I smiled a bloodthirsty smirk. Chapter 89, The Mastermind, Final Part. Aden's Point of View. The lion roared once more, this time in rage. I spared a look at Boy Wonder. Get to cover and don't intervene. Surprisingly, he didn't try to argue back, and not unlike Batman, he disappeared into the shadows of the cave. I heard his signature laugh echo through the cavern and rolled my eyes. Well, it's just you and me, kitty cat. I promise you, I'll try to make this quick. The taunt worked and the lion jumped at me, claws and teeth aimed to eviscerate me into meat ribbons. That was if its weight didn't crush me instead. I rolled under it and sprung up to a handstand. I spun my legs around, creating a scythe of flames that arched towards the lion. The beast, in that same astonishing agility it had previously displayed, turned around and roared. The huge blast of sound sent an air wave that put out my flames. I brought the winds to my control and created two massive tornadoes that almost reached the ceiling of the cave. The whirlwinds boxed in the lion, briefly hiding me from its sight. I jumped up to the sky, falling towards it, both daggers held above my head. The lion roared, pushing away my tornadoes through sheer sound shockwaves but not unraveling them. It looked up too late just as I was bearing down upon it. Flames sprang up along the knives, leaving behind a flash as I brought them swinging down. I smiled when I felt them connect with the lion's forehead. Then they cut through the creature's skull like a hot knife through butter. That was too easy, I frowned. My feet landed on the ground, cracking the cave's floor with a dull thud. At the same time, the lion dissolved into thousands of beetles made of shadows and pulled away to condense into its former body. The lion shook its head. 2 twin scars ran down from its eyes to the mouth. Black blood dripped down the injuries caused by my knives. The look in its eyes was disbelief warring with animalistic rage. Human. A deep voice rumbled from the lion's mouth. The voice shook the cave due to how deep and menacing it was. I stayed cautious. This could be a ploy to attack me by making me lose focus and awareness of my surroundings. You are not like the rest. Not like the other meatbags. Saying that, it started walking around me slowly. And those knives, they are special. They hurt me. Nothing can hurt me except holy power. Interesting. I promised myself to get the priest something once I was done with the mission. I propose we come to an agreement. Turn around and leave, and in return, I'll give you endless power and riches beyond your wildest dreams. It said. I listened intently while nodding along. A few seconds passed after its statement and I looked at the creature in disappointment. That's it? That's all you got? Unlimited power and wealth? I scratched my head, feeling a bit weirded out by the whole situation. Dude, you can't give me something you don't have. It growled menacingly. Heedless to its mounting anger, I pushed on. I mean, you live in a dark cave in the middle of nowhere. That doesn't exactly scream riches beyond my wildest dreams. Man, I expected more from you. Aren't demons supposed to be masters at temptation? Nemeth couldn't handle it anymore and roared. I fell into a stance, ready for his next attack. This time something was different. The feeling it gave off was menacing. The demon was going all out. You will suffer for that insult, lowly human. A surge of shadows ran along the length of the whole cave, covering everything and plunging us into darkness. I used my air sense to locate Boy Wonder and pushed him out into the open mouth of the cave, away from the darkness encroaching closer. The last thing I saw dimly was Robin's iconic rainbow costume before the world grew dark. I heard skittering from all around me. The whole space was a mass of beetles and bugs heading towards me from all directions. Feast your eyes upon my true demonic form and feel despair. You will die human, eaten till nothing of your existence remains on this plane, and then I will harvest your soul and torture it for eternity. Nemeth's voice rang out from everywhere. It was distorted and would have made anyone else shit their pants. Unfortunately for him, I have stood in the presence of Lucifer himself. Someone who could unravel all that I was. In comparison, Nemeth's aura was meh at best. I reached into my trench coat and brought out the bottle of holy water from the inner pocket. I held it up and flicked a light on top of my index finger. A quarter of it remained on the small bottle. I mentally sighed. Should have gotten a bigger container, but oh well, hindsight is 20/20. Give up, boy. You have no hope of getting out of this alive. I, Nemeth, a demon lord of hell, will devour you completely. My opponent said. I snorted. Demon lord? Oh please. Spare me the bullshit. Let's see just how deserving you are of that title. I poured the holy water onto the palm of my hand, careful not to let any of it drip down. Now, the reason the holy water had such an adverse effect on demons was because of the touch of divine holy power contained in it. The essence of purity that dealt corrosion on the demons. My idea was to either burn away the water completely, separating it from the essence of holiness, and then supercharge that energy with my own fire, which was aligned with the attribute of order. Or simply mix them and hope the divine essence was potent enough to not get too diluted when spread out across the massive attack I was planning. It was an idea that had no science backing it. But if it worked, I would take down Nemeth once and for all by targeting his full mass, without sparing anything. I didn't have any other way, and I couldn't keep on slashing him apart with the daggers because he would simply dissolve into his true form and slip away. Damn, I wanted a cool dagger fight scene. A blaze appeared in my hands. As if sensing the danger about to befall him, the whole mass of bags slammed onto me, only to bounce back upon colliding with an Air Force shield that I kept around my body. Sparks of blue electric energy appeared on my palm as I burned away the water. It tried to recombine itself from the fusion of hydrogen and oxygen, but my flames burned hot enough to halt that process. I was careful, trying to get a feel for the holy essence in the water with my nascent energy sense. And fortunately, I could feel something. Something just out of reach. Stop. You have no idea what you're doing. You'll call down his wrath. You fool. Nemeth's voice changed to a terrified squeak and tried to get away from me. I absent-mindedly constructed another barrier inside the cave that covered any spots the demon could escape through and then compressed it. The demon's full mass was now tightly held together in a massive ball of air, and I was in the middle of it. The core. He started pleading, but I was too entranced by something. My eyes glowed as I looked at the pinprick of light floating on my palm. It was the size of a grain of rice and was shining the purest golden light I had ever seen. This was more than I bargained for. It would be wrong to use as a simple attack. But I don't have a choice. I wished I had another choice. As it was, my flames alone could not hope to defeat Nemeth at his full power. Maybe of it was sections or pieces of him, like when I burned the beetles that were controlling Masali, but in his full form, he was used to fire from hell. Fuck it. I crossed my palm on the small light and then breathed in. My fire poured into my palm and coaxed the light to grow. To combine with my flame and bring divine retribution against this creature of darkness. I tried to mentally keep up with that line of thinking. And crazily enough, it worked. I opened my palm and a white, beautiful, and lazily burning flame appeared. Despite being so diluted, Nemeth's screech of pain reached me as the nearest beetles were burned to nothing just from exposure to the white flame's light. I raised up a hand to the sky. The flame started rotating into the form of a ball of energy before exploding out into a voluminous tornado that covered my form. I brought my hands together. My right palm meeting my left fist, and the flame grew larger. The air bubble on the outside pressed Nemeth's full mass into the flames, and the demon's cries of mercies were drowned out, having been completely destroyed by my attack in one simple move. Holy cow! When the flames ended, partly because it was getting too much for me too, despite the fact that I had covered myself in the strongest layers of protection I could, I was surprised at what met me. Most of the cave had melted into lava. Steam and ash covered the whole place. The steam, of course, from the water that had evaporated. I looked around in shock. Damn, those holy flames had not been a joke. Hotter than anything I had ever felt before. My trench coat was also smoking slightly. A prompt appeared at the top of my vision, but I waved it away with a curious glint in my eyes. Due to the cave half melting down, it had revealed something. A red blinking light deeper inside it. Near the mouth of the underground river. I waved the ash and steam away, flying over to inspect what this new thing was. Getting over there, I was surprised to find a pod of some sort. A machine built similar to a beetle. Was it a coincidence? Maybe. I touched the metal expecting it to be hot to the touch, but was surprised when it felt cool instead. My touch elicited a response from the clearly alien technology before him. A blue scanning light ran over me from head to toe, and a synthetic voice said, "Carbon-based life form detected." Hello? The red light from before changed to a light green one. It could talk. Meaning I was not dealing with a simple machine at all. I looked around, carefully. No trace of Nemeth or any other demon remained. Maybe this thing was unrelated to my mission. Hi. Welcome to Earth, I guess. My name is Aden. What should I call you? The answer came in quickly. I am designated as miner number 0234. Pleasure to meet you, Aden. The prompts at the edge of my vision were getting more urgent. That, and I could feel the team making its way towards me. We will have to cut this meeting short, Miner. How about I lead you to somewhere else you can safely run diagnostic tests and recuperate? As you can see, this place is a battlefield. I offered, hoping it wouldn't say no. Very well. The miner said and rose up, levitating in the air. A boom tube appeared and it flew through. The boom tube had led it to an island far away from Sanctuary in the elemental dimension. I breathed out a sigh of relief at how smoothly that had gone. Miner was an unexpected find, and I had a feeling, a very significant one. Back to more important matters, I enlarged the display box and was immediately hit by an urgent notification. I swept the rest of the notifications away and was left with a blinking text. Oh crap. This shit just went from a generous 30 to 100 real quick. I commented, hurrying out of the cave. Why? I had less than 5 minutes to stop the end of the world. Urgent mission. The demon Mammon wants to use the access node of the green and the souls of over 100 humans to infect the world with a virus designed to turn the world into a hellish wasteland and the humans and creatures into demons subservient to him and him alone. Mission objectives. Stop him at all costs. Save Swamp Thing / blah blah blah. The green. Mission time limit, 5 minutes. Mission difficulty, hellish. This marks the end of part 29 of the story, Avātār in DC Universe. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.